What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another beer review here at Thomas Opent with another English review. We got some more beer. More beer is always great. Now we got some from the Moor Beer Company. We got some Old Freddy Walker. Old Freddy Walker is a 7.3% ABV old ale in a 660 milliliter bottle. Let's see if we can find some. Is there a little story time on this thing? Bottle conditioned with live yeast. Unfiltered, unpasteurized, natural sediment may occur. Enjoy fresh. It's not very fresh anymore. Does it have a bottle date on here somewhere? Doesn't have a bottle date on here. Anyway, yeah, we're talking about an old ale. According to them, it's a rich, dark, full-bodied old ale reminiscent of liquid Christmas pudding, savored year-round. So yeah, I felt like doing an English review. I felt like doing this beer because I felt like treating myself to a nice little big bomber. And I'm also doing this one as a little bit of a test because my English viewers might not know that my camera app has been a little bit fucked, and I'm just experimenting a little bit. So if the audio and or video quality is a little bit askew here, I do apologize. I think everything should be sort of, you should be able to follow it, but it might be a little bit weird, a little bit out of sync. Maybe the video will be a little bit odd every now and then. I'm working on things. I'm working on some stuff. So anyway, let's get this thing out into glass. Moor Beer Company from the UK, from England. Old ale. You don't really hear a lot of people talking about old ale that much. I think it's a bit of a pity. I think it's a bit of an underestimated style. Underestimated, underappreciated style. It's one of those very malty-forward beers, and I'm a malt head. I mean, I love my IPAs and stuff like that, but I'll take a nice little malty beer over hop-forward beers any day of the week. What do we have here? We have a lovely sort of, cappuccino, no, not cappuccino, khaki, let's call it khaki colored head in a very dark beer. Now to you guys, it might appear to be completely black, but when I hold it out into the light, this thing is, it's dark. It is dark as fuck. During the pouring, it really has this lovely caramel color. In the glass, it comes off as almost dark, almost black. But yeah, lovely looking beer. Let's just get to the nose, shall we? See what she does. See, yeah, that's that. There's this sort of big dried fruit component, figgy datey, but loaded with burnt sugars, caramel. It's got a bit of a soft coffee note to it, but nothing too heavy, not like imperial stout levels of coffeeness, but a little bit of a coffeeness. That's a new word. Not like that imperial stout level of coffee, but there's this sort of soft, subtle, the lovely spice component. The Christmas pudding thing, that's where they're talking about the spice, the dried fruits, that alcohol. If you know what a Christmas pudding is, you'll see where I'm coming from. It's got the spice, it's got that sort of, it's not so much clove, but more of like that allspice. You get a sort of a soft cinnamon vibe in there, and the dried, and there's definitely a clove component in there. A lot of like a sort of spice, cinnamon, clove thing going on. It's not like a particular spice or a particular spice blend by itself, but it does remind you of spice. It does give you that vibe with that dried fruit, that sticky, datey raisins thing going on. Yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Let's go for a taste, shall we? Cheers. So yeah, you have that. It's very savory. It's got a very big savory note to it. Probably because of there's this thing we have here in the Netherlands. We call it droge worst, metworst. It's a type of a dried, cured sausage. And there's a lot of spice in there, including clove. And it really does remind you of that. It has that savory, meaty heartiness to it. Combined with a lovely sweet note from that dried fruit, with a bit of a sort of a burnt, sugary, molasses, syrupy bitterness, sweetness, if that makes any sense at all. It's got a little bit of an earthy note to it, and that might actually be a bit hoppy earthiness in the back. But all in all, this is actually very tasty. And you get a sort of a bit of a cola vibe almost at the back. Sort of a vanilla cola sweetness. Quite tasty, quite lovely. 7% ABV, it's not going to have the biggest, thickest body you're ever going to get, but it does have a nice mouthfeel. It might just be, it's a bit effervescent. It might be just a tad too carbonated. It sort of evaporates in your mouth pretty quickly, which does sound a little bit negative. I'm not trying to be too negative about it, but it does have that. It's one of the bigger drawbacks. One of the bigger plus points here is 7.3% ABV, but it packs a lot of flavor. So with the 660 milliliter, I think in the US, I think this is called a bomber. I know Beer Patrol watches my videos in English. I think he watches a lot. Big shout out, by the way. Big shout out to Beer Patrol. I love your reviews, man. They are always on point. I love your vibe. I love your energy. I love your vibe. Keep going, man. Keep rocking your reviews. But I know you watch a lot of my reviews. 660 milliliters. That's a bomber, right? In the US, you call that a bomber? Please let me know if you could drop a line. Anyway, with 7.3% alcohol, it's a nice sharing beer between 2 or 3 people. Opening this up at a decent time, it's actually not that bad by yourself. You could definitely, take a few hours, hour, 2, 3. It has a reasonable ABV. You could polish this one off just by your own sums. And I'm kind of disappointed that I opened this one already. I'm going to see if it's still available because it's not even that expensive. I think I paid 6 or 7 euros for it. If you can find this for like 7 euros, 660 milliliters, this would make a lovely Christmas Eve beer. December 24th. You got everything wrapped. If you do presents, you got everything wrapped. You got everything sorted. Everything's done for Christmas Day, and you're like, I need a nightcap. I want something to treat myself right now. This is a lovely Christmas beer. There's a sort of a soft orange note in there. Yeah, like a dry, bitter, soft orange note. It's really quite tasty. If I'm gonna have to rate this thing on the Untappd scale, I would definitely give this. This is a 4 out of 5 for me. It's not. It's up there with like beers you definitely want to try again. Beers with a lovely flavor profile. Not very expensive. I think it's available year round. Not a bad beer to enjoy yourself with on a lovely cold winter evening without getting too wasted with 7.3% ABV. How awesome is that? So yeah, another review done and done. Let's leave it at that, shall we? If you liked the review, click like. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you always get a notification when I put some new content online. As always, I'll try and review a little bit more in English if I do find myself with some spare time to do so. In the description box below, you'll find links to my social media. Instagram, Untappd, and Facebook. You'll find beers that I do not review, but I do have a thing or two to say about. And you can find a link to the Dutch Beer Collective, where you can find Dutch Beer Geek and Beer Geek Holland, 2 of my biggest beer brothers out there, brothers in crime, brothers in beer. It's a sort of a portal website where we come together. You can find links to all of our reviews, all of our social media, a little bit of a calendar where we're going to be for certain events and stuff like that. And so go check that out. And I'll see you in another review. Cheers.